All right. Hello. Welcome back to another live. All right, and I know for those who will catch this on the replay, so that's great. Welcome to the YouTube live Truth Seeker podcast. Oh yeah, we're gonna unpack some stuff today because we have to learn how to deal with the evildoers, right? The narcissists. Learning how to deal with them. That's the only thing we can do by not dealing with them for the most part. But those are times mm-hmm, when we will find ourselves having to interact. So let's let those notifications go out. All right, everybody. And let me tell you, when God reveals things, boy, whew, we certainly do not ignore them. Not at all. And it's, yeah, a lot to unpack when dealing with these narcissists out here. And remember that our course, How to Deal with Toxic Coworkers, when you click the CHA Academy link in the description below and you go to the landing page of how the trauma bond is formed, you click on all courses and you'll see everything that we have there for you. And how to deal with toxic coworkers is in there. And, I highly recommend that because those steps are tried and true for how to keep these narcissists at bay. Basically, how we would keep them in check as we learn to stop allowing them to trigger us. We stop allowing them to annoy us. We stop allowing them to irritate us because when they can sense that what they're doing is working to do any of that, they're going to continue to do more. Just like the enemy. All right, real quick, let's get these formalities out of the way, shall we? All right, yes. I am Michelle Dickey, your host for CHA's Truth Seeker podcast, streaming on the YouTube channel Narcissism and Cognitive Dissonance, where trauma healing and are front and center. That's right. Trauma healing and spiritual growth occur with God's wisdom, basic scientific facts, tried and true technique, and more here and at CHA Academy, btbw.com. Again, that link is in the video description below. So y'all can check out the things we have to help you level up your healing and spiritual growth. All right. Dealing with narcissists. All right. For the times that we have to interact with them. It's not that we have to, but let's face it, if it's in the workplace, you're going to interact with them, right? Okay. So we learn how to be they are the ones who are really vague, but we learn how to use that technique for ourselves. Remember how God takes what the enemy dishes out and flips it, uses it for his glory, right? Yeah, all the time. This is how he does it. Okay? So, yeah, and I got the scripture. Yep, it is Matthew 5, verse 25. Because when I came across that, I went, oh, yeah, because that's what we start to learn to do. Because we realize once you understand that they think backward and twisted, okay, because the enemy has painted some illusions out there in the world, in the narcissistic matrix. He had to paint them upside down and backwards to fit their twisted perception of reality. He had to make his lies look believable, right? Okay, there you go. And so we learn how to, I don't really want to say be vague, but yeah, we learn how to observe more, speak less, right? Okay, because we got to. When we identify we're dealing with a narcissist. Now, again, in the workplace, we know that they will always try to bust through boundary. They will always try to poke and prod and see which button they can press, right? In other words, to try and see what will work to get you to step out of character. After all, that's what they want. Because every time we step out of character, we fall from grace. So that's the trick of the enemy. And we learn that we don't let him do that to us anymore. Especially when God awakens us and we make that choice to pick up our cross and follow Jesus. That's right, striving to become more Christ-like daily, to maintain our composure as an adult should. Grown adult should not get all bent out of shape by the stuff. Grown adult should not be making mountains out of molehill. Grown adult should not be giving puppy dog eyes when telling a sob story. Grown adults who are mature, okay, should not be out here trying to seek attention to stroke their ego. You see, everything I'm describing, yeah, those are the behaviors of narcissists. And so chosen one, spiritual warriors for Christ, we don't engage in those things anymore. So I know it is a challenge in the workplace and at home when you are in close proximity to these narcissists. We understand this. This is why we're helping to equip you all with those tools you need. Remember, even through the storm, you got a lot of self-reminders. You got to remind yourself sometimes they're a narcissist. You know, if you feel yourself getting a little bit irritated, that's when a self-check is needed. Hold on a second. That means you've got your empathy switch on, because they'll be able to sense that. Think about this. Remember, our empathy is our spiritual energy conduit. What is a conduit? Right? Think of the electrical conduit, right? Oh yeah, just like salt is the conduit for radio frequency poisoning. There's some food for thought for y'all. More about that on our Patreon channel, link also in the video description below. So the same concept applies, because the spiritual energy conduit is our empathy. And if we've got that sucker wide open, oh yeah, they're going to get all kinds of reads. Ooh, they can use this as ammunition. Ooh, they can use that as ammunition, right? If we're feeling down, or if we're feeling, let's just say, bad about something, or if we're feeling sorrowful, you know what I'm saying? Like we're not doom and gloom or anything, but we're not quite up to par. Oh, they'll take that and run with it. They will throw out gaslight. They will throw out insults. They will do anything and everything to kick you while you're down, right? This is why when we get into God's reality, we work together and we maintain that high vibe, because the enemy can't kick us up here. No. See, he knows that. The enemy cannot kick us when we are vibing high and when we are emotionally regulated. So this is for whoever needs this. Right? For dealing with narcissists, you've got to get yourself emotionally regulated. Between you and God, you'll figure that out. Okay? It is a process. But you have to really, because all of those things are part of childish things we've got to put away, so that we learn to not allow them to stress us out unnecessarily. And it is totally 100% possible. Myself and many others, okay, including those who are providing the trauma training at the Arizona Institute of Trauma, okay, or the Arizona Trauma Institute. There we go. I'm trying to remember. Where did I get my training from? Oh, that's right. Anyhow, it's an ATI, and they know they've got their emotion regulated. And so it's very important that we do the same so that we know, yeah, because once we can do that, we can keep our empathy switch in check. So I'm going to share with you all that, yeah, sometimes I'm in here, right? So I don't necessarily have to turn my empathy off all the way, but I do have to keep it in check. Because there are some things out there in the world that, you know what, I pray for them and turn it over to God. You know, because every once in a while I'll be standing there, maybe preparing something for a meal, whatever, cooking my butternut squash soup. By the way, y'all, here's a tip, nutrient tip, that the drinking water you use to cook a vegetable in make for great drinking water, because you're drinking the nutrients that got cooked out. Okay, just make sure you're using drinking water when you cook it. Okay, clean the vegetable real good. All right, okay. But dealing with these narcissists requires that emotional regulation, and that stems from learning how to keep that empathy in check. Because our empathy is what they are out there sniffing out for, right? Yeah, they're trying to sniff out if we still walk around with our hearts on our sleeves. Because let's face it, that's what got us in the situation in the first place, right? Exactly. So we want to keep in mind that the reality is you're going to run into narcissists. They're out there. And it takes getting to that radical acceptance. It really does. It is what it is. Okay, now what? So now we're at the stage of, okay, so how do we deal with these things? Mostly by not dealing with them in many ways. And so it's all part of that discernment. And then learning how, this is for somebody, learning how to stop for a second. Hold up a second. They just dished out a gaslight, for example. And now you know what a gaslight is, trying to get you to think that you didn't hear what you heard or saw or see what you saw. And if you hear anything in the background, like hollering and stuff like that, that's your kids on the playground next door, okay? Having a good old time. So, oh man, it's great to see that though. They're allowed to express themselves, very important. But we learn to step back for a second. Wait a minute, they just dished out a gaslight, which often presents as backhanded compliments too. Never forget that. And those backhanded compliments are also part of the enemy toolbox, if you will, or tools, whatever you want to call it, to try and induce confusion. I'm going to give y'all an example. Backhanded compliment. This is from one of the toxic workplaces, right? Yeah. The one that I had never been in that industry before. So I was learning something new also. So that's great. And I remember I went upstairs for something or other, and one of the Jezebel dishes out a gaslight. I know this isn't your area of expertise, but you've adapted well. Really. So how do you deal with that? You don't let it confuse you, because you see it for exactly what it is. Except the put down was first, and then the love bomb was second. See, they can do it both ways. Love bomb devalue, or a devalue and love bomb. Goes both ways with them. It's just out here. And that kind of a statement was designed to try and belittle and make me feel insignificant because I was working at a place that wasn't my area of expertise, as if I'm stupid or something. It didn't work. It did not work. But how did I deal with that? Well, because you're in the workplace, you're a peacekeeper, not walking on eggshells or anything. I just said, thank you for that. Turned around and walked away. Which brings me to Matthew 5, verse 25. And then when we must, with the evildoers, they tell us this or that or whatever. And especially if you can sense that they're trying to start an argument, it's best to just agree and walk away. So Jesus says, agree with thine adversary quickly, while thou art in the way with him, lest at any time the adversary deliver thee to the judge, and the judge deliver thee to the officer, and thou be cast into prison. That's a parable, y'all. I know that describes kind of like what? The judicial system in the U.S., right? And maybe some other places too. Okay, sure. All right, but it's actually the opposite, right? Think about it. Because the way our judicial system works in the U.S. is the opposite. Okay, first the officer puts you in prison, then you go see the. Okay, that's why this is a parable, and I'm gonna break it down for y'all. Okay, the narcissists, they are our adversary, right? Well, when they come out with something or what have you, agree with them quickly, because if you disagree, the adversary will deliver thee to the judge, meaning now you're engaging in, right? You're disagreeing. And so now you just gave them the opening for the argument, right? So now they're going to throw out some judgmental statements, right? They're going to start judging you because you don't agree with them. And them being judgmental delivers us to an officer, meaning the narcissist will bring in a third party for triangulation, right? And now you are in a prison of an argument. The argument is the prison. Let that sink in. And so we don't want to let them do that to us. We won't allow them to do that to us. We've got that power and authority on the inside that when they come at us with something, let's say, oh gosh, let me think of an example. Let's say, okay, here we go. Let me move that out of the way. Let's say they come up to you. You can clearly see what color that is, right? Yeah. It's kind of like a bright green, right? So a narcissist will come up and tell you that this is yellow. Well, we can clearly see it's not yellow. But before we knew any better, we would say what? No, it's not. That's green. And then what? That's right, round about the mulberry bush with the narcissist we go. Matthew 5:25. So they come up to you and say, this is yellow. Agree with them quickly. Yep. And walk away. Let them think what they want to think. That is part of learning how to act the fool, to let the fool think they're fooling you. Because that's all they're trying to do. They know that's green. They're just trying to confuse you. And they often will mistake the color gray for blue. Oh, that's common. I did a whole nother stream on that, but that's very common because the color gray represents balance. Think about it. That's your gray area. Emotional regulation, balance, spiritual balance. That's right. That's spiritual balance that God needs us to have in His reality so that we can, that's right, thwart the fiery darts. That's one of many ways to do it when dealing with narcissists. That's how you thwart that fiery dart. They're trying to confuse you and start an argument because they know that's green. But they call the color gray blue. They know it's gray, but they don't want to admit it. Because remember, they themselves, James 1:8, a double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. So that's part of it. They can't handle the fact that, okay, gray, they know, oh, their demon spirit know that the color gray represents balance. I'm going to let y'all know something. The devil does not like to see people keep balance. God is a God of balance, right? Okay. And so if the enemy cannot throw us off balance spiritually, he can try physically. But we don't need to be concerned about that. As long as we don't lose our soul, and as long as we still are balanced spiritually, we're good. Because that's the internal, right? Remember how I said before, one of the Motivational Monday shows. You focus on the internal and the external will follow. So when you focus on the spiritual, on the inside, you stay balanced. That's that emotional regulation. Okay, that's spiritual balance right there. Remember what emotions are, right? Spiritual energy is emotion. We're keeping them balanced no matter what is going on out there in the world. And so once we're able to do that, and we keep it, okay, we keep it, maintain it, that's better, to maintain that. In order to maintain that, we don't allow external things to disrupt that balance, the spiritual balance. Think about it, spiritual energy, right? Emotion. Okay, so that's spiritual balance. The enemy can't stand to see that because he needs to keep people off balance, both spiritually and physically, so that they're what? Bingo! More accident prone. Double-minded, trying to rush. And they make more mistakes. And they're more accident prone, so that what? Aha! There you go. For those of you who went down the rabbit hole, and those of you who didn't, but you know what I'm talking about. Congratulations. Because the more accident prone people are, that keep a part of the matrix in business, right? So that's why the enemy likes to keep people off balance. Because he needs to send people to that place so that they can be monitored, so that the enemy can make sure they still haven't found Jesus. Because when one of us, chosen one, ends up there because of a narcissist, that's right, they can clearly see who we are. The enemy can see who we are. And so things are very different for us in that atmosphere. That's right. But because the workers must do their job, that's where we have the advantage. And I will tell y'all, there's some good ones in that profession. Absolutely. And I saw a few of them. Yes, I did. I saw a few of them that last time when I closed the last case study. So it's all about that discernment. But that's a big part of it. And so these narcissists are sent across our path to try and keep us off balance. Yeah, because the enemy loves to try and catch us off guard. Absolutely. That's one of the enemy's, just one of many of the enemy's favorite tricks. How many times have y'all had a narcissist, right? Hello, Chris. Hello, hello. Oh, right. Okay. Thank you for bringing that up. Okay, that would be your nuance. Thank you. That's why I gave the examples that I gave. Simple examples like the color green, and they'll try to say it yellow. That kind of agree and walk away. Whenever our fellow warrior on Facebook, right, whenever the narcissist lashed out at our fellow warrior who was on the dude's side with a particular topic, that lets us know that that narcissist was just looking for an argument and someone to lash out at no matter what. So you're going to have those. And he handled it very well. Okay. So when something like that happens, okay, if they get mad when we do agree with them, we still block, walk away. Now, if it's in person, we just do everything we can to not get tricked into reactive abuse and to not step out of character. To help y'all put it in perspective, I learned the lesson the hard way. However, it did not get me to step out of character. There was a bully at the toxic pizza place I was at, yes. And he was a so-called manager. But I know that he tampered with my vehicle. And I wanted to know the truth. Right? Okay, well, I asked a few of them. I said, hey, I'll go ahead and I'll share with y'all. I said, who keyed my car? That's what I wanted to know. Who keyed it? Because that was very childish, right? Well, I kind of had my suspicion because that bully had made several statements about my car. He perceived it as being, I'm not going to say it isn't a nice car. I mean, it is and it isn't. It doesn't really matter to me. It gets me from point A to point B and back. But he kept making statements about it, how he perceived it as being a nice car. So that's what gave him away. And so, yeah, because they are destructive, right? Narcissists are destructive. So anyway, one of his flying monkey, which he later threatened to kill and got himself fired over. Dude, that's how they were. I was like, wow. But one of his flying monkey, yeah, sent him a text message. He wasn't working that particular moment or that day that I recall. But he was just down the street doing a side job. So he came walking on in there all huffing and puffing, got right in my face, started yelling, and I just stood there looking at him. I mean, what he said made absolutely no sense. One of the female managers, who was also a narcissist, was trying to tell him to calm down because there were customers in the lobby. But I did not step out of character. After he finished, I said, is that a yes or a no? Very calmly. And he stormed on out of there. Nothing else for him to say. So that's for y'all. That's how we deal with it, if we must. But I learned my lesson that, you know what? My instincts already told me that he was the one who did it. And when he got in my face yelling, yeah, see, no one gets angrier than a narcissist who, that's right, received the accusation for something they most definitely did do. Never forget that. And so really I got my confirmation. Not how I was hoping to get it, but that's how that went down. And it wasn't long after that he got himself fired for threatening the flying monkey that sent him the text that I was asking about whoever it is that keyed my car, which let me know the flying monkey knew he did it too, the bully. So, okay. Because most likely the flying monkey watched him do it, right? And it was that same flying monkey that the bully threatened to kill through a text message. And he got himself fired for it. Rightfully so. And I remember that night very well because God, man, when you're divinely protected by God, that's it. You are divinely protected by God because deliveries, kept coming in. And God's timing is perfect. Every time I came back from a delivery, I had another one waiting. All right, here we go. God kept me out because what he was doing, I found out later what that bully was doing while threatening. See, now the flying monkey that he threatened to kill was not working that evening. Okay? They were at home, but they contacted the manager when he did that. But apparently he was dishing out verbal abuse to everybody that was in there. So every time I came back, I'm letting y'all know how God works. So every time I came back from a delivery during the window, a 2-hour rush hour, span, if you will. Yep, God made sure I had another delivery to keep me out of there. So they could take each other out, basically. But he got himself fired. And so I found all this out later. As I was coming back from what turned out to be one of the last deliveries for me that evening before I got to go home or to the place where I was residing, I saw him throw his hat and some parts of the uniform, apron and stuff like that as he's stomping off to his car, mumbling and all of that. And he took off, and I saw the general manager and the assistant shift manager, whatever, standing outside. And I was like, okay. So the general manager, by the way, is one of us. So she's the one that asked me what is a narcissist or what is narcissism. So anyhow, we pray. Yeah, we know God will awaken her like he did. He awakened all his chosen ones. He awakened all his chosen ones at his appointed time. Absolutely. So I just wanted to bring all that here. Right, exactly. Thank you, Chris, though, for bringing that up, because we do have to keep in mind that there are different scenarios. You got a couple of, right. So when we're dealing with them on a, let's say, because the topic that our fellow warrior was siding with the narcissist on happened to be about something that, well, none of us participate in anymore. Okay, in that arena. But it was at that, right, it was over something that was Well, it does. It gets a big rise out of people on the world stage, right? Yeah, it's y'all know what I'm talking about. The P matrix, where narcissistic abuse is dished out every single day. Okay, had to do with that, and that right there is a classic example of why. Okay, why we walk away when we recognize narcissism, right? And so I've noticed that my comment here, I've noticed there seems to be a slight delay. That's interesting. Okay, so NARC managers who are not overseen by anyone see it as an opportunity to behave any way they want. Precisely. And that's what happened to that bully who was, when he became, when they let him become a manager, myself and a couple others were like, you sure that's okay? Well, like, that's not a good idea, but, and he did. He let it go to his head. And he thought that he could behave any way that he wanted to. Yeah, his mind got corrupted. Remember, all of that verbal abuse that he was dishing out, right? That's evil communication. What does evil communication do? It corrupts good manners. Or if they think they're not seen, that's a good point too. If they think that no one is watching, or if they think that no one can see them as they are behaving, wickedly, the narcissists, they are not aware of, let's see, how can I put this? Okay. The narcissists are not, they're not very in tune with their surroundings, so to speak. When I say in tune, it doesn't mean that they don't notice what's out there around them. They're not in tune with their surroundings, because the way that you become in tune with your surrounding, exactly, you got to be connected in mind, body, and spirit, awake, with heightened awareness, right? It's all about being that aware. Okay, we see it now. We didn't see it before. We see it now. And we don't unsee it. And that be in the spiritual and the physical. So we want to always remember that they're not in tune with their surroundings. So they could be in a room behaving a certain way, or even somewhere at work behaving a certain way. A good example would be if the workplace has a back room where food prep takes place, and they're the only one in that room, and they're doing something they know they should not be doing, and the place, for whatever reason, does not have cameras, then let's say they have their back turned towards the door, and there's a couple of other employees just standing there watching. They won't even know that until they turn around. They're not in tune with their surroundings. Whereas chosen one, if we had our backs turned, well, we're not going to be behaving badly to start with, and we're certainly not going to be doing something we aren't supposed to be doing, right? Okay. So if we were just, let's say we were putting up dishes, right? And our back is turned towards the door. The moment someone comes through that door, those of us who are aware, we are going to sense it. And we are going to turn around, right? Because we are in tune with our surroundings. That's the most simple example I can come up with. Yes, a good manager will see other employees below them as equals. Yes. okay, if they possibly can. Oh, yeah. Hi. I never, and I'm not the only one, when I was in management position, I never, ever, ever asked the employee to embark on a task that I myself would not do. So if they were busy, they were super busy. Okay, for example, in one of the convenience stores, I was the assistant manager. If they were super busy, we had 2 registers, that's it. They're super busy. And there is a cooler running out of a particular, let's say, some item that they just, yeah, it's just moving. And I see, oh boy, it needs to be stopped. I'm going to get up and I'm going to go do it. That's what a good manager does. That's just to give y'all an example. I'm not going to sit there. A narcissist manager would want to take over the register and tell the employee, go stop the cooler, because the narcissist manager is lazy. So that's just to give y'all. Right. No, because just because we hold a certain position does not mean that we get to do less work. I never viewed management positions as such. So even at Consulting for Heightened Awareness, if the day ever comes, I will make sure that the person gets trained in all areas for doing a good majority of what I do, as far as managing the website. The content creation is a whole different story, okay? But I'm talking about as far as the website. Everything that I'm able to do, I'm going to train them that they'll be able to do. That's how we look at things. Not going to ask them to embark on a task that we ourselves would not do. Chosen one, chosen one, that's our mindset, is that we're not above them just because we might be a manager. Does not put us above the employees in any way as a human being and a worker. So let's say some coffee needs to be made and they're super busy at the register. Good managers get up and go make some coffee. Let's say it's got one of those little hot dog roll things, right? And it's lunchtime, right? So workers are coming in and they're buying that stuff. And you see that it needs to be filled back up. A good manager is going to go do it. Going to go to the back where the coolers are, going to grab them hot dogs, going to take them out there and put them on the grill. Because the cashier, the employees are already busy. Yep, that's a great, I like that. Yeah, fellow adults trying to earn a living coming into work. Yep, it's called teamwork. Chosen ones, we like teamwork. Yeah, we have no problem with teamwork because there's no I in team. That's right. Narcissists, on the other hand, will tell you there's an I in team. No. But yeah. So, all right, for whoever has the question, how do you deal with a manager narcissist who will do that, right? They'll pull the employee off of the current task because the manager is a narcissist and doesn't want to stop the cooler. And so how do you deal with that? Well, I mean, you can't turn around. I mean, he or she is the boss, right? So it's not like you can really argue with it. Yeah, you got to go stop the cooler. But you could do it. You could do it. because it's not going to be worth arguing with them. It is what it is. And so good managers also have, well, I'll just share with you. I know at the one place we had a book, right? We had a checklist for shift duties. So if I was scheduled to be with whoever it is working that shift, the whole shift, then I get included in dividing up the shift duty. Yes. Right? That's just to give y'all an example. That's what good managers do. They don't just dump it all on the employee and not do anything. That's what narcissists do. Because narcissists are lazy. And not only that, they don't. Now, listen, there are some that out there who will do some hard work, sure, who are narcissists. But that's when they are left without a choice to do it. You see, there's a difference. But if they are in a management position and they're a narcissist, oh yeah. They don't want to work. Okay, that's another good point. When you have the triangle shape manager levels, from the top of the triangle down tend to be corrupt. That's true. You have a big narc boss at the very top, passing fear and threat of losing the job down the line. Oh yeah, you do have that. Absolutely you do. It's all part of that game to instill fear. Because that's part of the narcissism in action with financial abuse, right? And because threatening the loss of a job, and oftentimes for no reason other than to just instill fear to get the employees to, that's right, do whatever the narc boss tells them to do. Out of fear. People pleasing. Exactly. So how do you deal with that, right? Well, like I gave yesterday in the Motivational Monday show, the tip I had, if you have to, go talk to a temporary placement agency. You can find yourself a headhunter. That's what I was trying to think of yesterday instead of recruiter. But you can still find one of those. But if you can find a headhunter to help you look for another place to work. And while you're still there, you just gotta tough it. I know. It is a challenge. But you gotta tough it out. Listen, I had to too. Had to tough it out. Because remember, God said, he who endureth to the end, he who stood. That's right. Yeah, I know, right? We haven't heard that term headhunter in quite some time. Exactly. That's why it didn't come to right away. And so I know when I was trying to think of it yesterday, so the Holy Spirit just, yeah. And I believe that they're still out there. Last time I checked. I mean, it's been a few years, but because I was told by another person to check into that as well. So I'm sure they're still out there. Yeah. So, I mean, and not only that, y'all don't forget about this. And I know many of us listen, I've got a little bit of massaging I got to do and an area on the leg. All right, y'all. And so thank you for understanding. You see me do this. That's what's going on. God revealed something else to me today. That I'll just give you a heads up. It's going on the Patreon channel. Because I'm still processing it right now. So, yeah, it was huge. A huge revelation. And, yeah. But there are state, I don't know if it's the same way in every country. So whatever it is that your country's, your jurisdiction has for employment opportunity, like I know that when I was in North Carolina, they have the program called North Carolina Works. I know they had that, and that's basically, the unemployment office, but they had computers and things like that in there for people to go on in and do job searches who don't have PCs and computers at home. So that's a great way also to be looking. If you're not, I know it's going to depend on if you can get there because you're not open on Saturdays and Sundays. And typically those are for those who are unemployed. I get it. But if you are in a job and you work, let's say you deliver pizzas from 4 p.m. to 9 p.m., you have plenty of time during the day to go by and check that out. There's nothing wrong with that. And talk to somebody there, find out how to, because let's say you do have a PC at home, but you need to go to the place and get the information, the website, and get you some login credential, stuff like that, so that outside of the toxic workplace, you can still get on your PC and log into the unemployment system and see what job pop up. There's a lot of avenues to go. Okay, local library. You know what? That's the other resource. That libraries, you can always inquire. There's libraries that have job boards. So, I mean, there's a lot of avenues, okay? So we don't want y'all to think that just, if you're in a toxic workplace, we don't want you to think you're stuck there because you're not. Now, if you're putting in application or you are looking and you're going to start putting in applications elsewhere, in the meantime, never forget this. This is for some of y'all, okay? That if you're still, you're still going to be there. Remember what I said yesterday on Monday. Yeah, is that don't quit before you got something else lined up, right? So you're lining something else up. Okay? So you're looking. Right now you're searching, but you're still in the toxic workplace in the meantime. This is going to help you get through. That's what I did. Because God revealed to me what it was, skill set wise. Yeah, the admin side of Shopify. So I could start designing my website. So I had enough basic knowledge. Oh, I'm still learning what goes on behind there. I'm back there myself, okay? Yeah, it's not a one-time deal overnight because they update stuff, they add stuff, it's ongoing. But that's okay. I've got the basics down, right? So that's what God had me do. And then he needed me to launch the website, and it had to be up for a certain number of days before God would deliver me from that place. God had me get that lined up. My own business, ministry. So with that being said, until God delivers you from there, but you are actively searching, let's say you are putting in some apps elsewhere, and while you're waiting and searching, ask God, okay, since you know you're dealing with narcissists, right? So you know the red flags, the behaviors. You're learning to not let them irritate you or annoy you or react, right? You're learning how to get control of yourself. That's a big part of the trauma healing right there. So for whoever tells us that we cannot heal from the trauma in a toxic environment, that's false, because you can. In fact, that is the exact place that it should be done. Why? Because think about it. If you're not in a toxic workplace, trying to learn how to, or toxic environment for that matter, at home or what have you, and you are trying to learn how to get control of yourself, being here all by myself, if I wasn't already healed, how in the world would I be able to do that? Because I wouldn't be getting any jabs, right? I wouldn't be getting thrown any fiery darts to help me go, okay. Change that perspective. Because there's a good reason why God keeps us in certain environments. Needs to show us things. Not necessarily the narc behaviors, but maybe about ourselves. So this is for some of y'all that if you are still in a toxic environment and there's narcissists and God has not delivered you from that yet, ask God, okay, what is it? Is it me? A skill set? Because it could still be another skill set at that job that God needs you to have for your purpose. That's a big one right there. And then also, if you have yet to get control over yourself, because it's going to take being thrown those fiery darts for us to get spiritually stronger with that heightened awareness. That's how we learn to get control of ourselves. Remember, that's God taking what the enemy dishes out and flipping it for his glory. So I don't listen to that false narrative that you're not going to heal from trauma in a toxic environment. That's false. You very much living proof. And I'm not the only one. Because it is. Yep, when I turned that ex-psycho roommate into a case study, I started healing. In fact, God revealed to me that I was already healing before that. Because some things was just, I was outgrowing childish things already. I just was not aware of that yet. Because I didn't know I was in the spiritual awakening yet. But outgrowing things. So it was already happening. So once I turned him into a case study, I just kept healing. As I'm taking note, I'm like, okay, this is what they do. Okay, this is what they're doing. So I'm already healing spiritually. God telling me the whole time, you're going to be okay. You're going to be all right. You're going to be okay. So I'm going to tell y'all, you're going to be okay. God's not going to drop you on it. And so if you're still in a toxic environment with narcissists, ask God. Because he's telling me there's some of y'all that just need to learn how to get control of yourself. And so he got you there, not to be their emotional punching bag, but to teach you how to get control of yourself and to stop letting their poking and prodding or whatever behaviors they're engaging in, not let it get under your skin. That's a big one right there. Because if you're not being thrown any fiery darts, then you're not being annoyed. You're not being irritated. You're not right? Right. So how are you going to overcome something that's not happening? Think about that. So some people out here trying to say that you're not going to heal in the environment with narcissists, that's false. Many of us did. Because we were getting that heightened awareness while there too. Like, oh, okay, that's another one of their tactics that we have to overcome. Okay. Oh, there's another one of the tactics that we need to overcome. Got it. Okay. And so one by one, we start working on it. And that's also where we learn to stop internalizing it. If we're in our own space, in our own place, and none of that is happening, what are we trying to overcome? Well, let that sink in. Okay. So there's certain jurisdictions that have citizen advice bureaus. Okay, and they've got computers that people can use for job searches. Okay, thank you for sharing that. And that's right. That's right. We got to remind ourselves of that, y'all. We got to fight fear with a plan of action. Right there. That's how you do that. You fight fear with a plan of action. Let that sink in. And then remember that God is love. And so the Godhead on the inside, it casteth out all fear. Perfect love casteth out all fear. Right? 1 John 4:18. So there you go. And we don't allow them to get under our skin. So again, don't go falling for that false narrative that you will not heal in a toxic environment, because that is the very place that you must heal. Really, that's the only place that it, not the only place, but that's the majority of where you will heal. Now, when you're at home in your own space and you are connecting dots, right? Okay. And what you're doing there is you are learning how to not let, just like you were there, learning how to not let the events of the day linger while you're at home and stress you out, because that's what the narcissists want. In fact, the narcissists are the ones who go home and they stay stressed out all the time. Because they mix everything. I want y'all to understand that they mix everything because that's what contributes to keeping them emotionally dysregulated, unstable in all their ways. They like their negativity. They like that low vibration. They like their misery. They like being unhappy. You would think that they would not like being unhappy, but many of us can tell you we have observed them. And they do. They like being unhappy. They don't know why they are, but they like it because it's familiar. Remember, demon spirits are familiar spirits. They like their familiar spirits. They think that they can handle them when they can't. Nope, they never can. But the enemy has tricked them into thinking that they can. But they can't. We can see that they can't, especially when something goes down, whatever staged event it was on the world stage that went out, that fear-mongering message, and next thing you know, we see the narcissist. What are they doing? Getting their panties in a wad and, oh my gosh. Right. They don't know. They have no control over themselves. And so this is why, chosen one, we learn how to get control of ourselves in a toxic environment. Because I'm not telling y'all to stay, y'all not going to stay there forever. No, God, I'm telling y'all that God just needs some of y'all to get control of yourself. And then for some of y'all, you got control of yourself just fine, right? Nothing that they do, they can't bust through your boundary. They can't trick. You learn how to shut that empathy switch off. They can't mirror your empathy back to you anymore, right? Okay. Then that right there means that God needs you to take a look at skill sets. What are some additional things at that job that you have yet to learn? Keep that between you and God. Don't be asking the narcissist. You know they're going to tell you the wrong stuff all the time. right? They're going to mislead you deliberately. So don't be asking none of them. God will reveal it. Because let's say you've been there for a while, so you know the ins and outs, right? Right, now there's some skill sets that might be a little bit outside your current position. But God says, I need you to learn how to do that. Maybe not to do it at that job, but to have that skill set for your purpose. Now think outside the box. Okay, so there's a couple of different reasons why God will still have us there. Well, actually, there's a third one. God needs to reveal some additional things in the spiritual and how it plays out in the physical. So my last season is an illustration of that, where God had to show me how the narcissists are like vultures. I had to see it in action. Because, see, that always starts with the spiritual and it manifests into the physical, right? That's how it works. And so we want to remember that those are three key reasons why God doesn't deliver us out when we're like, why haven't you delivered me out from under this yet? You know? And that's when God revealed to me. Because I asked him the same question. Because remember what I shared with y'all yesterday in the Motivational Monday show? How I went through the temp agency and it was a month and a half into working at that toxic receptionist position. Well, it wasn't the position that was toxic. It was the workplace. Right? A month and a half. And I told the temp agency, I don't want permanent placement there. And I had asked them to please see if there's something else that they can send me to. And so a year, 13 and a half months or so, give or take, later, after a month, 1 month or so after I launched my website, that's when God delivered me from there. Because I had to learn the Shopify admin console a little better. And again, like I said earlier, we're still learning things. And so that was that. We took that huge leap of faith. That's right. Because I remember asking God, I'm like, okay, well, now what? So I went back to the temp agency. And I said, well, do I need to ask them if there's something else? And God said, no, I want you to get busy on that website. Said, I want you to get busy with it. And we did. Here we are. We stay busy to bring you all these tips and the advice because we know it's real out there. Okay? And we know how tough it is when we're sitting here going, I know. Okay? But we got to deal with these narcissists. Well, you pretty much take on the parental role without parenting them. One more time for those in the back. We take on a parental role without parenting them. That's how we deal with them the best. And so if need be, one of them is trying to poke and prod, doing stupid stuff to try and see if they can annoy you, and you've already overcome that. Well, that's where the mommy or the daddy look comes in, especially if they're young. And you don't have to say nothing. They have to knock it off when they know that you know. That's the rule of the spiritual. Another one, if you will. Remember, James 4:7, resist the devil and he shall flee. So we have to learn that we can't let them get to us. Because again, like I said in the very beginning, and many of us come to learn this, that if you are dealing with these narcissists in any environment, right, and they see that they're poking and prodding, they find a couple buttons, right? Well, those will be the same buttons they keep pushing because it keeps getting that negative emotional reaction out of you. That's why they keep doing it. Think about an actual little toddler. Come on now. All right? Because they do this. It's just that the grown adults who are narcissists don't outgrow that mindset. That's why we call them toddlers in adult body, because that's what they are. If they can see that you got a couple of buttons that are still easy to push, in other words, trigger you, that's what they're going to hone in on. And they're going to do more of it. Because, yeah, what did it used to do before? And for some of y'all, still does. This is why, for some of y'all, God just needs you to get control of yourself. That before we did that they would do something that would just annoy us to no end, right? Or when they used to get in our personal space and we would feel irritated. Okay, now I'm going to tell y'all something. We realized that was them projecting their own irritation onto us. But we got tricked into thinking that we were irritated. Because once we realized that Godhead is on the inside of us and that He is none of those negative things, there you go. Somebody needs that reminder. It ain't coming from within chosen one. It was coming from them. But we didn't have our empathy switch under control yet, right? That's that conduit. So it slid on in, and they could sense that it was working to irritate. So what are they going to do? 10, 15 minutes later, they're going to do it again. And then it just escalates from there, right? Now, 10, 15 minutes, they're going to do it again until you finally turn around and go, will you stop that? That's what they want right there. Yep. That's how they get us to step out of character. And so if they know that all they got to do is that one action 3 times to get you to step out of character, oh, you mark my word, they're going to, might wait a week or so, but they're going to do it again. And again. And again. And again, until you finally get control of yourself. That's the way it is, y'all. We have to get control of ourselves. Because that's the game they play. Just like that at the time, 24-year-old, wooden steps, right? Right next to my desk, like I shared yesterday. Oh, yeah. After about, oh, goodness gracious, I can't tell you how long. It wasn't irritating me and it wasn't annoying me. I actually found myself laughing a few times. But he wouldn't know that I was laughing at him. Because I was like, that's how childish and stupid is that? You know, deliberately stomping up those wooden steps on purpose. Until one day, I just turned I just turned away from my computer and gave him the mommy look. Didn't have to say nothing. And it's like deer in the headlight. And so he tiptoes up the stairs after that. I kid you not. All right, because when they know we know, they have to knock it off. So that's how we take on the parental role without actually parenting them. That's a big way that we learn to deal with them. And I know, it's just one of those things. It takes practice. I'm not going to lie to y'all. God does not lie. It does take practice. Remember, trauma healing involves mental and spiritual activities that have to be intentional. Remember, God made you. He was intentional with how He made us. That's right. And then, that's right, the fact that He had to have it brought to His attention and didn't know how childish He was being. Yeah, now He's going to tiptoe up the stairs. Yeah, because they know that mommy look. They know that daddy look. Oh boy, do they. Because when you give them that look, they are being made aware of how childish they're behaving. That's it, bottom line. And you don't have to say nothing. It's just the mommy look or the daddy look. God gives that to us naturally, y'all. Even if we don't, you don't have to be an actual parent to know how to give the mommy look and the daddy look. Because we were one kids ourselves, and we got the mommy look and we got the daddy look, right? Oh yeah. Okay, y'all. And so we know how to do it. Chosen one, and that's what we do. It's just, yeah, I know it's crazy because I remember when God revealed that to me, I was like, man, I said, so we really got to take on this parental role that we didn't ask for? Okay. I mean, it is what it is. But God says, yeah, but you don't have to always say something. You know what I mean? It's like we don't have to parent them. In other words, we don't have to hold their hands or anything like that. Just a simple mommy or daddy look. Don't have to say nothing. Or using that discernment, if they are looking to lash out and they're looking to start an argument, and even if you agree with them, okay, well, that's just, you know, right then and there, okay, block, delete. But if it's in person or what have you, and they do something, you know, to tell you that this is, well, that's too obvious. But if they try to tell you that this is lavender, right? Or, well, it's purple. Okay? If they try to tell you that pink, just agree with them and walk away. For whoever needs that reminder. Because it's not worth letting them trick us into an argument over the color of an index card. That's the kind of minute stuff that these narcissists will do. Yeah, they will pick the slightest thing to start an argument over. That's classic for narcissists. They will do that. They will pick the smallest thing to start an argument over. And so remember that. Even in the workplace, yes. So you want to be mindful of that as well. Absolutely, 100%. And you'll know, oh yeah, your intuition will tell you. Because that's pretty obvious. They come up and trying to tell you that something is a different color than what it actually is. That's not, you know, to induce confusion, but that's not all. They want to start an argument. And so when you agree with them on that, well, they really don't have any room to lash out. Now, if they do, right, keep your composure. Let them spill it out. And then when they stop, you can ask them, are you finished? And they typically will stomp off. If they do something in the environment to try to start an argument, right, and you, let's say they tell you something and you agree with them and they lash out, let them finish. Let the fool finish speaking first. And you keep your composure and just ask them. They will stomp off. I'll tell you, yes, they will. Just like the bully example I shared with you earlier about when he got my face on the job. I let him finish speaking and then said, is that a yes or a no? Stomped off. They have no room for anything else because they did not get you to step out of character. You stayed calm. You kept your composure. Again, it's a mental and spiritual activity that must be intentional. And yes, you can do it. fearless. Basically, yes. Now, I'm not going to tell y'all that as you're learning how to do it, if one of them does that, I'm not going to tell y'all that you might not experience some parasympathetic nervous system symptom, but you are in control of it because you're in control of your own emotion. That will come to pass through the backside. Y'all know what I'm talking about. It does. It comes to pass because you are keeping your composure. You're not allowing that to, exactly. You're not allowing that to negatively affect you. You're letting it roll because you see what's going on. You know what they're trying to do. They want you to step out of character. They want you to fall from grace. Okay, so just know. But over time, even that parasympathetic nervous system reaction, when you sense it, over time, if one tries to do that as you practice keeping your composure, it becomes second nature. And you won't even experience that because they'll be like shouting and everything. And you'll be like, oh, we see what they're doing. I'm telling you. Right. Don't let them intimidate you. That's really the bottom line. Yeah, don't let them intimidate you. And, the experience helps. Absolutely. Because if you don't experience it, see, that's what I'm saying, is that I don't wish this upon anybody, no. But this is how God takes what the enemy dishes out and flips it and uses it for his glory. Because it's how we're going to learn to, get control of ourselves so that we can maintain our composure. So when things do go wonky, we don't step out of character. We're able to troubleshoot things logically and reasonably, right? And not jump the gun and think that something is something that it's not. So, as we troubleshoot to figure out, for example, we had the audio issue in some live streams there for a short season when we got into this place because the microphones that I had to learn, they were really sensitive and they pick up everything. Okay. The moaning refrigerator to the neighbors on the other side to the bathroom, right? I can hear their bathroom fan when they turn it on, picking that up. To when the toilet does its little running, it was picking that up. So we learned that here for this location, as we did the troubleshooting, that none of those were necessary. That's what we learned. And it is what it is. Now, as far as when I do pre-recorded videos, that's a different story. Because I do use a small blogging microphone for those. And then I have a handheld that works as well. And they don't pick up all that stuff when I do a pre-record because it had to do with Wi-Fi. Okay? When I do a pre-record, I'm not on Wi-Fi. When I live stream using one of those microphones, I'm on Wi-Fi. And so there's a bit more that interferes, right? There you go. That's simple. And so we didn't lose our composure because we're like, we're going to figure this out. We're going to figure this out. But the only way we were going to be able to figure it out was to do what? Get on with the live stream and use one of the microphones and see when the audio acts up and figure it out from there. There's no way I could have troubleshooted it any other way. Same concept applies to how you learn to get control of yourself while in a toxic environment. That's how we do it, not the opposite. Now, there are, again, some things when we're out of that environment, when we get home and we connect dots and we analyze, things like that, yes, to continue practicing and purging that subconscious, getting God's word, things like that, to understand more of what's going on with these narcissists and why they do. Because I know it's human nature. Once we know the why, we typically are like, okay, that's our closure. And we get that from God. Yeah, it was. Yes, I was thinking that at first. I remember that. But yeah, that fridge, because I'll be up here like cooking and stuff. I don't have the AC going, obviously, while I'm up here live, right? Because that would interfere. That's pretty loud. And so every once in a while, that sucker does it, moans and groans, and I start laughing because it's funny. I'm like, dang, it's like my refrigerator's talking to me. So yeah, and we did, yeah. Oh yeah, you remember those sound issues? Yeah, there was just a handful before we got to the bottom of it, but we weren't going to be able to figure it out unless we did the troubleshooting, right? Exactly. And I want to share with y'all something. I know that the enemy is trying to, he's trying to prevent the numbers of views while live. He's preventing it from going above 6, and I think we know why. Yeah. But see, now we caught on to it, and so he's going to have to let it go. We'll have to let it go. Once we become aware of one of the enemy's tactics, he had to let it go because we're aware of it now. He's been exposed. Yeah. It's right. In Jesus' name, glory be to God. So, not that God cares about the numbers, but I'm just saying that it is a tactic of the enemy at any given time. Yep. Oh, we can call it a haunted fridge. Okay, that's fine. That puts a little bit of a light spin on it. Okay, everyone. And we are approaching the 1.5 hour mark, which is where I like to keep these Truth Seeker podcast episodes within that time frame. I know sometimes we go for a couple hours. It just depends on the topic. But I have another message that's coming on later on this channel, okay? Because it was on my spirit, and it kind of dovetails off of what I've said quite a bit regarding how the enemy wants to trick us into feeling bad for ourselves and things like that. But we learned lessons, okay? And so we're going to do a Let's Just Chat on YouTube, okay? So we'll be back. All right, everybody. And as always, if you've got any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. I will get to those as soon as possible. That's right. All right. So I am Michelle Dickey, your host for CHA's Truth Seeker podcast. Yes, streaming on the YouTube channel, Narcissism and Cognitive Dissonance, where trauma healing and spiritual growth are front and center. Trauma healing and spiritual growth occur with God's wisdom, basic scientific facts, tried and true technique, and more here and at CHAAcademybTVW.com. The link to that is always in the video description below for quicker access. And you can check out what we have for you to help you level up that trauma healing and spiritual growth. Sending love and light to all fellow warriors. Thank you for watching, listening, and for your support. Till next time, let's show some gratitude to the Heavenly Father, and you keep being you. In Jesus' name, amen.